Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another Monday Night Fire, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Malaki Bashai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai. A hearty, mighty Shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnify the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters that are out there zealous, diligent, and on fire, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. Shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And Shabbat Shalom, or Slaki Shalom, right? Hastening the Shabbat, right? Shalom to everybody tuning in there live. Don Israel to me, Sweet Styles, Yvette McKellar, Kyoko Bayumyan, Daria Wash, Shalom, Elder Kazak, Nigel Blends, Ak of Rectitude, Kasaya, Servant 144K, and everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. Right, this Monday Night Fire, we're going to husbands, love your wives or die. I mean, it's as serious as that, right? This is not something that's an exaggeration. It's not something meant to be taken lightly. With all severity, husbands, love your wives or die, straight up and down. But you're commanded. See, the commandments go beyond, okay, well, not just eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. Okay, I grew my beard out. I got my fringes on. Okay, you know what? I kept the Sabbath day. Okay, I kept the Day of Atonement. Okay, you know what? I made sure that I, stopped smoking. All praise to Yahweh Shemel Shah that you may have done those things. Now, this is mainly catered towards you men, right? You men of Yahweh Shemel Shah. And you sisters who have husbands, that you can understand how your husband is supposed to love you according to the precepts, not according to what they call black love, man, ghetto love. They throw those terms out there, right? This real black love, this ghetto love. The Most High is not dealing with ghetto love. He's not dealing with black love. The Most High has love according to what's written, right? Thus saith the Lord. And we're going to go into this through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shah. You have a lot of situations occurring and that may have occurred, and God forbid that will occur. So we have to go through these lessons because an integral part of a nation of people starts with the union between a man and his wife, their offspring, their children. That's how a nation starts. So we have to understand the unity between the husband and the wife, what those dynamics are, primarily focusing on the husband so we can ensure that the nation is being built up with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding according to what's written. And we're not leaning on things that we may have heard from your uncle, your father, your grandfather, Negro tales and game and things of that nature. We have to go off of thus saith the Lord, thus saith Yahweh Shemel Shah. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 25 and 1, right? And again, if you don't love your wife and you have a wife, you're not going to make it, right? You're going to have all these breakdowns, all this understanding, all these prophecies, all these different books, all this understanding. But if you don't love your wife, then you're not going to make it, now, right? Sirach chapter 25 and 1. And three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful, both before the Most High and men: the unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together. So all three of these things that's beautiful before the eyes of Yahweh, Bashmi Shai, and that's beautiful in the eyes of men is unity, right? You have the unity amongst brethren when brothers can come together with the same mind, with the same judgment, with the same vision, and they want to accomplish and progress towards the same goals. That's a beautiful thing. The love of neighbors. When you have a tight-knit network and community of families and brothers that can come together to defend one another, protect one another, counsel one another, and establish judgment in the gates. That's the love of neighbors. And also a man and a wife that agree together. And when it says agree, it doesn't mean, okay, this person wants to go out and eat this food and this person rather sit and order in, and they agreed that they're going to order in, and no, man. Or you may see these couples, they got a shirt I'm with the crazy wife and that's my husband. It's an arrow pointing toward the husband and they agreed to wear these crazy shirts and outfits. That's not what it's talking about. Agreeing together is agreeing in the spirit and unity of Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shah, right? The man agrees that he's going to guide the wife according to the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, right? And the wife agrees she's going to submit to her husband according to the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. There's no strife, contention, variance, madness, and folly and confusion because they have collectively agreed to bind themselves by the law, statutes, and the commandments of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. So it's a beautiful thing. When you have disagreements, contentions, strife, animosity, folly, adultery, abuse, these things are not beautiful in the eyes of the Most High. They will be abominable in the eyes of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. So you brothers that are married, you want to ensure that the way that you're moving, really examine, is your marriage beautiful in the eyes of the Most High? Right? Or is your marriage abominable in the eyes of the Most High? Now, you're going to have, the Lord even said in, let me get this in 1 Corinthians 7, right? The Most High said you're going to have trouble in the flesh, right? Let me get that. You're going to have those times where you do have, it's like, yeah, put this period in here. You're going to have those times when you do have trouble in the flesh, right? That's a given, but the Most High is telling you that you're commanded to love your wife through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, right? Let me get this in, get this real quick first, right? This, I'm gonna just get it for sake of time, right? So like, bear with me. Let me get this. The Lord said that we have trouble in the flesh, right? Trouble in the flesh essentially means it could be an argument, it can be disagreement, it could be y'all are at odds. These are the things that the Most High speaks of, right? When he says that you'll have trouble in the flesh through the spirit. Right, let's go to 1 Corinthians 7:28, kind of looking right over it, right? It reads, right, bear with me. But this I say, Slakia, and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. So it's not a sin to marry, right? It's not a sin for a woman to get married. It's not a sin for a brother to get married. But if you do get married, the Most High is telling you what comes with that. And he said, but I spare you. Because if the Most High didn't spare us, then you will have 1 Corinthians 7, and instead of it being 40 verses, it'd be 4,000 verses about the ins and outs of marriage, right? You would have 4,000 verses instead of 40 if the Apostle Paul, through the Spirit of the Most High, didn't spare us, man. But I spare you, man. I'm not going to go too in depth into it. So this lesson is catered to husbands and wives, really husbands loving their wives. And naturally, wives loving their husbands. That goes without saying, right? Now, the foundation of any marriage has to be built on Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, right? Loving your wife, like I said, it's not ghetto love. This ain't baby boy, Jodeci, Yvette, man, right? You fight and then you make up and, then you fight again and you make up. And that's when y'all get off on that, man, and y'all get off on fighting, and the Most High's not dealing with that, man. Right? He's not dealing with how you think you should love your wife, man. According to what your stepfather told you when you was growing up, man, when he was beating her down, or your uncle when he was a pimp, man, or your father told you when he was doing God knows what. You're supposed to be born again when you come into this knowledge, right? And that those thoughts that you had as a man, when you saw those relationships, because we all saw, most men, you all saw faulty relationships growing up, man. Whether it's your father, your uncle, if you had a stepfather, older brother in your life, man, or some things that you have done. Shalom, King.
Shalom, King. How you feeling?
How you feeling?
Yeah, all is well. No need to complain. How you feeling?
Hey, I can't complain either. All praise to the Most High. Glad we're doing this live.
Well needed in these days.
And I was saying, man, you have to let all that go. All that Negro love and all that Negro counsel you got, all that game that led to him being a pimp. He got locked up. He was putting his hands on this woman. A divorce, I'm going to say this divorce, even amongst the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, woman, and child is very high, man. If I'm not mistaken, by demographic, it's one of the highest amongst all races. The divorce rate amongst so-called African Americans, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? You see that happening, especially amongst the children of Judah, Benjamin and Levi, mainly you Judites, man. You know? So we have to go and we want to come into this knowledge. And it seems like in this knowledge, you have more damn divorce than you have in the world, man. You have women out there on their fourth husband. Certain men, you know, they put away this wife and, oh, I didn't know sex was marriage. And then this happened. Then this woman, you know, should I leave my husband? And because he didn't tell me this, and I was with this camp and I laid down with this brother, can I get with you? And all types of madness, man. So we have to learn how to guide each other with the counsel of the Most High. Now, this first slide in Matthew 7:24. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon the rock. Anything that you build in life has to have a solid foundation. Whether you build a skyscraper or you build your relationship with your wife at all, or you building yourself up or building your family up, it has to be built upon a solid foundation, which is Yahweh Shah. He's the rock. Right, let me get a quick precept to prove that. He is that rock, that cornerstone, right, that the Heavenly Father hath given us. This Isaiah chapter 8 and verse number 14. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. So Yahweh Shah will be for the fall and rising of many in Israel, right? That's what it's saying, right? Many people will hear the words of Yahweh Shah and cast it behind their back and stumble and fall. Some men are going to accept that stone and accept that rock as a sure foundation. You have to have your marriage built on Yahweh Shah, literally built on the precepts, right? Because there's going to be that truck that when the Apostle Paul said you have trouble in the flesh, those precepts should be able to help y'all be reconciled, right? When you're guiding your wife spiritually, mentally, the decisions you make as a husband, it has to be based off of the precepts. If it's not going off of what's written, it's going to collapse and it's going to fall. When you decide to step outside those parameters, step outside that boundary, do your own thing, you're going to fall, right? Verse 25, and the rain descended and the floods came and the winds blew and beat upon that house and it fell not, for it was founded upon the rock. So when trials, tribulations, tumults, things come into your marriage, if it's built upon Yahweh Shai, prayer, fasting, the precepts, your decisions are based off of what's written and not your emotions, no matter what befalls your marriage, it's going to stand. It's not going to fall. Why? For it was founded upon the rock. Verse 26, and everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. So some brothers, they'll hear this lesson and they'll go back and they'll do whatever their uncle told them. Whatever, and you got these I don't want to call them love gurus. You got everybody's a marriage expert now. Everybody's a relationship expert, right? Everybody's on TikTok, everybody has a talk show, everybody has a podcast now, everybody's going viral, right? Everybody's somebody now, huh? And Jake, you're too busy listening to what people are saying on social media instead of what the Most High said. If you build your marriage based off of what you heard somebody say on TikTok or some podcast or some new book, it's always a new book that came out, How to Save Your Marriage, right? By Dr. Damn, I don't know, Dr. Dan, some Amalekite named Bernstein, man.
Dr. Lipschitz. It's
Yeah,
like
you know, that's the spirit. I was going to say that, right? But I didn't know if brothers knew. Dr. Lipschitz, man. Right? You brothers know where that's from, man. Now, you got that. You got Dr. Bernstein, Dr. Phil, How to Find Your Marriage, How to Rekindle It. And you're reading that book over and over, think you got the secret to marriage. And that's vanity, brother. You're reading sand. You're counting sand. It's not going to happen. You can't build your house upon a book that the so-called white man wrote and expect that to save your marriage. Now, there are points here and there. You might hear a brother might say something wise. He might, you know, the Lord even says, speak to the earth and it shall teach thee, and the beasts of the field. But that's not your priority, you know? I'm gonna read 27. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. So if you decide as a husband that you're going to love your wife according to the latest book, the new bestseller, it's been on the top. What's it? I can't think. What's the name of that book? How do you measure them? But is it Barnes and Noble? Something like that. Amazon bestseller.
Uh, uh, what is it? The New York Times, New
Yeah,
York
New York
Times
Times. Yeah,
bestseller.
New York Times bestseller, man. And you're going to the damn autograph signing on a Shabbat. You're 450th in line waiting to get to talk to Dr. Bernstein, man. As he signs your book and calls you a nigger and sends you on your way, man. You have to take heed to the precepts to guide your marriage. Anything that you put before the precepts is utter idolatry. And you, as a husband, you're not going to be able to love your wife according to what's written. You're going to have trouble and confusion forevermore. You got it, King.
Con. Like the brother said, well, Shalom, Israel. Like the brother said, anything that is laid down as a foundation and is not centered around Yahweh Hashem Shai is gonna crumble, it's gonna fall, right? It has no chance of withstanding the test of times, the storms, wind, whatever elements may blow upon that house, it's gonna fall every time. Right? If you drive past these construction sites, they build these houses out of paper, right? They're putting them up in a matter of weeks, right? 7-bedroom house put up in a matter of 2 weeks. Now, do you think that that house is going to be able to withstand the storm that comes? Absolutely not. Right? Let's go to First Corinthians chapter 3. We can start at verse number 10 or start at 12, maybe 11. We'll start at 10. We'll start at 10. Right? First Corinthians chapter 3 and verse number 10. According to the grace of Yahweh, which is given unto me as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon upon. But let every man take heed how he build thereupon. Right? So the Most High has given us the blueprint to everything in life. Right? Every scenario, situation, it may not be to the T, but you have countless accounts in the scriptures on how to deal with situations. Right? So you have to take heed how you build upon this foundation, right? Are you going to build it like Nick Jr., Bob the Builder? Are you going to take your time, read the schematics, measure 3 times and then cut? Or are you going to rush through it because you're ready just to be upon that, be inside a house, right? That's like trying to get into the kingdom of heaven another way. There's only one way to get into the kingdom of heaven, right? You can't wiggle in through a gap in the wall. Right? There's no gaps in the wall of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And that's the same thing that the Most High has set forth on how to build up your marriage. Right? Verse number 11. For other foundations can no man lay that than that is laid, which is Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. So there's no other foundation that is laid other than Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Right? That's the perfect ground for a foundation. Right? There's no bumps and ridges or anything that'll cause the house to crack. You know, when the house settles in, there's cracks in the foundation of the walls. Right? There's no cracks because the house is going to be settled in perfectly if it's based upon Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Now, if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stone, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest. Right? And that's what's going on in these households, man. Everybody's work is being made manifest because you and your wife are builders together, right? Y'all are one flesh. Y'all have one common goal. That's to hear that your household is being saved. Well done, good and faithful servant. So everybody's household is going to be made manifest in that day, right? Some people's works are going to be made more prevalent than others in certain time periods, but everybody is going to be made manifest. For the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. Right? On the grand scheme, on the level that we're reading in this scripture, that's talking about the application of this truth. What have you done with the works of understanding that you got? Have you hid that talent, or have you magnified it tenfold, 20-fold, 100-fold, so on and so forth? Right? But on another level, this is talking about your marriage. Right? Fire's going to see, are you truly equipped to deal with the situations that Satan may bring in your house? Right? Is your house going to crumble and burn down to the dust? Right? Are you and your wife going to gird up your loins and fight through this affliction and turmoil and hell that you're going through and be made stronger in it? Right? Because whatever the Most High brought together, who the hell can put asunder? Right? I'm going to bring that out next. But this is verse number 14. If any man's works abide, which he had built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. Right? And that reward in your marriage is long life, the fruit of your loins, which is children. Right? If the Most High blesses you to have children, right? Your wife gaining understanding. She's not a lightheaded woman. Right? You're not giving into the ways of the world. Right? You're not contrary to one another. Right? Let's go to Sirach 25 and 1. That's the reward when you build your house and foundation upon your how by Shem Shai. Did you already bring this out, King?
Can you break it out again?
Oh, God, I missed that part. Right? In three things I was beautified and stood beautiful before both before Yahweh and men. The unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together. Right? There's nothing more beautiful than a man and a wife that agree together. Right? You're not sitting there arguing. We're going to celebrate Christmas. No, we're going to keep the Feast of Dedication. Right? No, we're going to do Thanksgiving. No, we're going to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Right? It's beautiful when a man and wife agree together. And the only way you can truly agree in this truth is if you're on the same accord. Y'all have to be on the same accord. Right? You can't be the most mightiest Hebrew out here Monday through Friday, but you get home, right, and you're wicked in your house. Right? You turn on the video game. Right? You neglect your children. Right? Your children don't even know your name.
God, dog.
Right? They saying, dude that pays the bills is here. Right? That's not agreeing together. That's the foundation being Satan. Right? That's the foundation being the things of this world. Right? You worried about getting your kids the latest Jordans, right? But they can't name one book in the Bible. Right? One person in the Bible. That foundation of that house is of this world. Right? Nothing is going to be able to withstand when that fire comes. So we have to be mindful of how us as husbands, how we deal with our wives, and sisters as wives, how you receive your husband. Right? Because you can't be jousting and fighting and tussling, when it comes to the spirituality of the union of husband and wife. Right? It has to be smooth, like a bike chain. Right? We all grew up riding bikes. When the bike chain falls off the spoke, right? You try to ride it, it makes that clinking noise. Right? And you're not going anywhere. Right? The chain starts to then rub against each other. But once you hold it up and that person starts riding the bike and the chain gets back on there, it's flowing. It's perfect. Right? That's how it's supposed to be in your marriage. Right? You can't have an alpha female and a beta male. Right? That's out of order. Right? And the Most High will tear that apart. Right? But you got to remember that what the Most High brought asunder, like I said earlier, let no man pull apart. Let's go to the book of Mark, right? The 10th chapter. And we can start at verse number 2. Right? Not trying to be long-winded. But this is a very important topic, man. Because, when things are smooth and everything is good, that's when Satan wants to come in. That's when your homegirl from the world pops up saying, "Oh, you still dealing with that so-and so? You need to leave him. I know a ball player." Right? That's what they say in the Root song with music. When she was like, "I know a ball player and he thinks I'm pretty." Right? That temptation is always there. So you have to be spiritually girded up and rooted to be able to fight these wiles of the devil. Right? This is Mark chapter 10 and verse 2. And the Pharisees came to him and asked him, "Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife?" Tempting him. And he answered and said unto them, "What did Moses command you?" And they said Moses suffered to write a bill of divorcement and to put her away. Right? So Moses, through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai, was told Israel it was okay to write a bill of divorcement. But you know, Israel gets simple, right? You give Israel an inch, and they running 10 miles. Right? Verse number 5, Salakia. And Yahweh Shai said, and said unto them, for the hardness of your heart, he wrote you this precept. But from the beginning of the creation, Yahweh made them male and female. For this cause shall man leave his mother, his father and mother, and cleave to his wife. Right? That's the foundations of a marriage. A man leaving his father and his mother. A woman leaving her father and her mother, and they cleaving together as one. That's the start of a marriage, right? That's the start of how to build a beautiful household is by following the precepts. And they twain shall be one flesh. So then they are no more twain, but one flesh, right? Y'all are one flesh when y'all come together, right? We don't got to get into specific details. You know, everybody on here is old enough and understands the dynamics of, you know, that action, right? Verse number 9. What therefore Yahweh have joined together, let no man put asunder. So what the Most High made you from the foundation of this earth and made your spouse from the foundation of the earth, he put them asunder, right? No man should be able to separate that. No man should be able to discombobulate that joint flesh that the Most High has brought together. And if any man could, any philosophy, any doctrine, anything, then it wasn't so from the foundation. Right? You got it, King.
That's right. It has to be built according to what's written. Let's go to Ephesians 5, right? Ephesians 5 and 22, right? Now, this is the dynamic because, again, it says marriage like Christ and the church. So there's no greater example of marriage that you can look to than Yahweh Shai and the church. Yeah, you might have your grandmother, your grandfather, they've been together, 40 years, 50 years. Maybe your mother, your father, maybe your great grandmother. You saw certain things and, they lived together. They've been together for a long time. That's beautiful, man. Right? But the chief example of marriage is written when you see Yahweh Shai in his relationship with the nation of Israel. And that doesn't just start in Matthew, the first chapter, right? You can see in the Gospels, but the entire Bible, right? The bond of the covenant, the mercy, the disannul of the covenant, the restoration, the wedding, all these things is what a husband should be looking at. You have to go and read this Bible and see how the Heavenly Father deals with us as a nation of people. See how Yahweh Shai dealt with us and deals with us to this very day. And you learn from that and pattern yourself after that. Now, this is Ephesians 5 and 22. And you have literal examples, right? You have men like Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, men that loved their wives, took care of their wives, guided them. And you have Tobias, you have Tobit, you have many righteous men, right, that you can also look to. Ephesians 5 and 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. So a woman is supposed to reverence her husband and submit to her husband as if she would Yahweh Shai, right? That's what it's saying. It reads, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Hamashiach is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. And a brother can't just read this and say, well, submit to me now, right? And like the brother said, you're saying that, and yes, that's written, but brother, you're sitting down like the brother said, playing damn Tekken 3 all day, man. Right? You're saying, well, you're not submitting to me like the Lord. You don't work, you don't read, you don't study, you don't know where your Bible is. You're making it your woman, you're putting her into a difficult situation, man. And you're tempting the spirit of the Most High. That's what you're doing. Because you're not holding yourself up to the standard the same way the Most High has commanded you to. Bro, how come my wife don't call me Lord? How come my wife don't do this? Brother, you have to lead by example too, man. Right? You have to also lead by example. Read on. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Hamashiach is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. So the husband is the head of the wife. And if a husband truly wants to love his wife, he has to accept his position as the head. Like the brother said, you can't really love your wife according to what's written if your wife is the alpha woman. You know, she kicked the door down. She calling the shots. She tell you get up, get dressed. You know, do this, do that. Here these job applications. Go get a job. You know, hey man, hey look, brother, you have the Lord said in Sirach. Let me get this in Sirach chapter 25 real quick. Your marriage, it's not going to work, brother, if your wife is your mother and you are her son, right? It's not going to work. Sirach, that's why a lot of marriages be falling apart too. My wife, you know, I'm trying to love her, I'm trying to show her. But brother, stop being her son. Stop being her son, man, and be her husband. You know, you're walking around and, you know, you take nothing serious in life, man. You play video games all day. You eat damn chicken nuggets and applesauce. And, you know, you're outside. Can I go outside with my friends? And you're just doing, you're moving in folly, man. Right? You don't do nothing around the house. A woman, if she maintain, this is Sirach 25 and 22. A woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudency, and much reproach, right? So what this is saying is if you have a woman who's in a position where she's taking care of her husband, and it's not saying she's doing her role, she's going above and beyond, she's maintaining it financially, spiritually. She the one that got to force you to read, force you to study. When are we going to pray? When the last time we fasted? She's maintaining you spiritually, right? Can you please go to camp and love your nation? Right? I gotta pay this. She working 2 jobs and just being the man in the house. You're gonna have spirits, and you can never love your wife if you're her son. It's in that the relationship between the mother and the son is different to the husband and the wife. Everybody knows that, right? Yes, ma'am, to your woman, and all this madness, man. It's gonna be full of anger, impudency, and much reproach. You know, and it's gonna be hard for her to respect you. And when you don't have respect in that marriage, it's going to be hard for you to love your wife according to what's written. It's going to be hard for her to submit unto you. So yeah, we know that the Most High says submit, but there's a lot that goes with that. There's a lot that goes with that. And we know that the husband is the head, but don't be the head in word, be the head in deed. Don't just say it, do it, live it. You know, didn't Yahushua live it? We have no question. There's nothing Yahushua did that was questionable, iffy, suspect. We had to double think. Why did he do that? Everything he did was perfect. You know, it says, and he is the savior of the body. So the husband, you are the savior of your wife. It's your job to present your wife perfect. And we're going to read that. I'm going to read a little bit more. Therefore, as Hamashiach is subject unto Slakia, as the church is subject unto Hamashiach Yahushua, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. And that's real, right? You be subject to your husband in everything, right? Unless he's telling you to do something wicked and ungodly, right? And something evil against the laws and commandments. Verse 25. And I'm not even going to that. Your husband's telling you to do things that's against the Bible, right? Don't do it. Eat this pork. Go lay down with this man. Do this. Look, you need to say something, you know. Verse 25. Husbands, love your wives, even as Hamashiach also loved the church and gave himself for it, right? So your life is the life of Yahushua. Yahushua sacrificed his whole life for the church. You're supposed to sacrifice your whole life for your family, for your church, right? That's spiritually, that's praying, right? That's you're reading. You may make lessons. You may watch your lessons, right? There are things y'all may talk about the scriptures, right? Y'all have to have a relationship embedded in Yahushua, right? The same way Yahushua loved the church. Hey, Yahushua was up all night dealing with the church at times, right? He would heal them from sun up to sundown. He'll walk miles and miles to deal with the church, man. He died for the church, right? Verse 26. That he may sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. So your job, you're obligated to cleanse your wife. Your wife should be closer to Yahweh Shai each day of your marriage, right? She should be cleaner and cleaner. If your woman came in wearing pants, smoking blacks, freaking off in the club, doing God knows what, and y'all been together, let's say y'all been together, I don't know, a year, and she's still doing that and nothing has changed, it's a problem. Now you can't have there are rebellious women. We're not acting like everything literally falls on a man. Because you have, the Lord said, a foolish woman pluck it down the house with her hands. You have wicked women, man, that go to hell off and commit adultery and freak off. We hear about this all the time. But brothers have to make sure that they're cleansing their wife. And you're making that sincere effort to examine what has to be washed. Right? Maybe it's this has to be washed. Maybe it's pride. Maybe it's folly. Maybe it's this. You have to look at what has to be washed. Right? 27, read two more. He might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as the Lord the church. So brothers take care of themselves, man. They make sure they eat right. Hey, brothers may go to the gym, they may work out, right? They may have routines that they do, you know. They take care of their spirit. So you have to love your wife the same way you love yourself, right? No beating on your woman, choking her out. Y'all tussling, like Amos said, y'all tussling every damn Thursday, man. You know? Hey, woman, you got certain relationships, brothers, you like letting your woman put her hands on you, man. You know? And you got brothers, you put your hands on your woman. All of that is confusion, wickedness, and out of order. The Lord says, so ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. And you have to make sure that you present your wife in the day of judgment without spot and wrinkle, right? So you have to analyze the shortcomings and look at the great things your wife does, build on those great things, and help mitigate and reduce those things that she does that may be off or contrary. That's your job, to analyze and look at those things. But you got it, King.
And that's a great point, man. You know, and fighting and domestic violence in households, man. That's unacceptable, man. Keep your hands to yourself, brother. Stop putting your hands on these women, right? Everybody's seen that movie, He Got Game, right? With Denzel Washington, the Spike Lee movie, Ray Allen, right? Ray Shuttlesworth, that was his name, right? Ray, Jesus Shuttlesworth's father, right? Went to prison, right? Being overzealous because his son was out there being a little girl on the basketball court, right? Pushed his wife and she fell and hit her head. There she go right there, laid out, right? Pushed her, being overzealous, and she hit her head and died, right? These things happen. It may not be on purpose. I didn't mean to hurt her, right? It might be a wet spot on the floor and you getting mad and you acting like a lion in the house and you shove her. She fall. Oh, man. Yeah, that must be his wife.
Yeah.
Right? But it may be a wet puddle on the floor and you being a lion and you shove her and she fall over and hit her temple on the ground or hit her temple on the side of the stove or the corner. Right now you are in prison for 30 plus years. Right? And sister, stop putting your hands on these men. Right? Because a man can only take so much. Right? You smacking them, you punching them, you kicking them, biting them, scratching them. Like, I dare you to hit me. And then you get what you dared for, and he damn give you an eye jammy. Cause you asked for it. Right? Let's move in the spirit. Right? Let's jump down to verse 32 in this one. Right? Because we tend to forget and we tend to take for granted the gift that the Most High has given us with the spouse. Right? Didn't Judah's husband Manasseh, didn't he die because the heat fell upon his head? Right? The Most High can take your significant other just like that. We neglect to count our blessings for the people that we have. Right? But this is Ephesians chapter 5 and 32. This is a great mystery. But I speak concerning Yahweh Shah in the church. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself. That's going into what the brother read. And the wife see that she reverence her husband. Right? Can we get the definition of the word reverence?
Con.
Right? This is summing up the whole Ephesians, the fifth chapter. Right? Husbands, love your wives as yourself. Right? You shouldn't be hurting yourself and brandishing yourself. And wives, you have to reverence your husband. Right? Reverence is a deep respect and awe for God, in comparison, both fear and love. Right? So when you reverence your husband, right, you gotta fear and love him. Right? Not saying fear of him putting his hands on you, but it's every man has a roar like a lion. You know what I'm saying? Like when the pride of lions are around and the main lion roars, everybody's like, "Oh, oh, let me calm down." Right? You have to fear and love your husband because he's your head. Right? You're his possession. The Most High has placed you in that man's possession so he can be your hedge and protect you. Right? We figure how about Shimmy Shah because we don't know what our outcome can be without him. And that's the same way you have to think with your husband. Right? Let's go to Proverbs chapter 19. And we can start at verse number 14. Right? So this is a beautiful lesson. It's not just us getting on husbands, right? We're getting on you sisters too. Right? You sisters have to understand that the Most High has put you in the position to be a delicate ruby. Right? Nobody wants a ruby on their finger and it's cutting them every 5 seconds. Right? Nobody wants a diamond chain and your neck turning green. Right? Sisters, y'all are those rubies and ornaments and diamond chains. Right? Y'all have to be presented beautiful, not just for yourself, not just for your how about Shem Shah, but for your husband who is your Lord. Right? So this is Proverbs chapter 19 and 14. House and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from the Lord. Right? So this is a gift to you men, a prudent wife, a wife who understands the scriptures, a wife who applies the precepts. Right? Y'all got into a big argument the night before. Right? Y'all both didn't want to talk to each other. She applies Matthew 18 and pulls you to the side and said, I apologize. I was offended at this matter, in which turns I said this, and this to you. Right? That'll end the whole argument. That'll end an entire argument. That's a prudent wife. A wife who can teach your children the law, statutes, and commandments. Teach your daughter how to cook. Right? Teach your son chivalry, which men should be doing that. But there's certain things that men may not have been taught from their fathers. Right? Like when you're walking on the street, on the sidewalk, your wife should be on the inside of the street. Right? These are things that a mother can teach a son. Right? And that's a gift from the Most High. But to be a gift from the Most High, you have to move and accustom yourself to and acting in such manner. Right? Let's go to Sirach, chapter 26, and we're going to start at verse number 13. Right? So, sisters, you got to be how in Revelation 21 and verse number 2, how the bride was coming down adorned for her husband. That's the same way you got to be on a spiritual level. You have to always be girded in your wedding apparel. Right? I'm not talking physically, but spiritually. Right? Spiritually, you always have to be adorned. Right? Because, yeah, you're going to have some days where you might wake up and not feel your best, or you're sick, you got the flu, and you don't look the best. Right? All that goes out the window because your husband loves you and he trusts in you and he knows that Yahweh Shem Shah has given him that gift. Right? Beauty fades away. Right? What's a beautiful woman from back in the day?
Um, you know,
Felicia Felicia Rashad,
yeah, I was gonna say the Pamela Greer.
Pam Grier, right? Pam Grier was beautiful back in the day, but she's older now, man. She's not Foxy Brown anymore, right? She's far from Foxy Brown now. Felicia Rashad isn't Miss Huxtable anymore, but it's the grace and the way she carries herself that makes her beautiful. Or her husband trusts in her, right? This is Sirach 26 and 13. The grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones. Right? So her discretion, the way she carries herself, the way she looks, the way she thinks, the way she moves, the way that she carries herself is gonna fatten his bones. Right? He's when you're fat, you're comfortable. Right? They say when you get into a relationship, you gain some weight because you get comfortable around that person.
Right.
Right? I mean, I learned it firsthand. Right? So when you
Right.
get comfortable, you get comfortable, right? Your bones get fat. You know that your wife is not going to put you in a position where she overthrows the household. Right? Quick precept on that, Proverbs 14 and 1. And I'm gonna come back to this. Right? Proverbs 14 and 1. Right? Sisters, y'all gotta be that sister that fattens your husband's bones. Right? Your husband should know that he doesn't have to worry about what his wife is doing. Right? He should know that she's gonna move in the same spirit. Right? That's Iraq 10 and 1. As is the judge, so are the officers. Right? How I'm moving in the spirit, your wife is gonna move in the same way. Like the brother said, you got rebellious and wicked women who go against the grain, but you gotta entrust that the Most High has given you that gift whose mind is just as your mind. Right? But this is Proverbs chapter 14 and 1. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish pluck it down with their hands. Right? So you can't be that wife that's plucking it down, right? I'm pulling this damn brick out of the house because I don't like the way that he likes to buy wine. He likes to buy wine every Thursday when he gets paid. Or you plucking this brick because he don't clean his ears. He don't use Q-tips when he cleans his ears. Right? I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. And now you're starting to be more wicked towards him because you don't like the things that you do, that he does. Right? Every wise woman is going to build her house. She's going to find ways to strengthen her husband. Right? No man is perfect walking this earth. But if you got a strong defense, right, and a strong coach, that's going to make that man be out there like Ray Lewis. Right? For those who don't know who Ray Lewis is, he was a awesome football player. Right? You got a strong defense and a strong coach, build that man up to do anything that he can. He put his mind to. Right? He'll cut down a house and build you a shed in the back just because he delights in the things that you do. Right? You have to be that beautiful gem and not a hard rock. Right? Let's go to Sirach 26 again, and then I'm going to yield off on that. Right? Verse number 14. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. Right? A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord. Not those nigga women who walk around with Cheeto fingers and Black and Milds, Hennessy mixed with so and so, right? That's not a gift of the Lord, right? A woman that's shamefaced, right? A woman who can follow instruction, a woman who isn't a stubborn mule, right? As a mind well instructed. A shamefast and faithful woman is a double grace, and her content mind cannot be valued, right? So that mind that is content, right? Not saying you should be living in the slums or she's okay with rats and roaches on the dinner table while y'all eating, right? But the mind that's content with the understanding that the Most High has given you, and y'all read together and understand and grow, right? From the inception of a relationship. That's when the important part of reading is the inception of a relationship, right? That's how y'all grow. Because 9 times out of 10, you're young when you get together, young and foolish. And you got a lot of energy if you catch what I'm saying. So that lot of energy can separate and you wouldn't be able to distinguish love and lust, right? But when you get into the scriptures, you're able to understand how to love and not just lust after your woman, right? But you got it, King.
That's right. That's right. And a lot of brothers, man, that's a hard discernment right there. Right? It's hard to discern, should I say. That's why it's important to prove her woman, man. Prove her sister, you know? And then likewise, or vice versa, rather, for a woman and a man. Right. But I want to get this in I wanted to land me back on the point that you made. I want to get this in Proverbs chapter 2. It's like in Proverbs chapter 12 and verse number 3. It reads, I'll start at 4. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. Right. And brothers feel, man, every brother, when you wear that crown that Yahweh Shah is going to give you, most high willing, I mean, there's no greater feeling than that, man. Even if you're actual, you got a crown on your head, you're naturally going to walk different, right? Naturally, you're going to think different. You're going to be a little more confident. Your speech is going to be a little bit more bold. Your shoulders are going to kind of stand up. You know, you're going to be a little bit more regal, you know. So the same way a man feels like a king, and that's by means of a virtuous woman. A virtuous woman could put that spirit on a brother, you know. The Lord also speaks about a woman that's abated. A woman can abate your courage and make weak hands and feeble knees. A woman can either make you, and a woman has a lot of power, man. Zerubbabel said that. The only thing stronger than a woman is the truth, you know, because if a brother's inclined to that woman, her emotions could dictate, you know, his spirit, you know. A random woman may not be able to dictate your spirit, but the woman that you with, she could either make you feel like a king or you could feel like garbage, you know? And you see that play out in the land of the living. So a virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. And rottenness is like a cancer, man. There's an actual bone cancer, you know? You can't produce blood cells, and you know your bones are withering away, and you could barely. And when you have rottenness in your bones, every brother had the flu, you know, and your bones ache, or you might have had some sickness and you feel them chills in your bones, and that's not a good feeling, man. You could barely walk, you know, and then that's followed by other ailments like muscle soreness and fever. So you know, rottenness in your bones leads to other infirmities in the flesh. And a woman could do that, man. You know, make a brother feel low, then he's depressed, then he don't want to work, then he don't want to do this, then he don't want to do that. So women have to use the spirit of wisdom, prudence, encouragement, and uplifting and reverence to ensure that their husband is having a spirit of a crown, or a man with a crown on, a king, if you can understand. And your husband is dealing with a lot out there, man. Your husband, and your husbands or men, most men don't convey everything that happens to them under the sun throughout the day. They don't relate every detail of their day to their woman. They don't, okay, 5:05, this happened. Then 6:06, I felt like this. Then 8:05, I had to do this. And it made me feel like this. And he may not tell you all of that, man. You know, there's so much going on. So you have to be mindful about what your husband is dealing with. And you have to ensure that your husband is taken care of on every level. Now, I wanted to bring that out just to let me back on the point that you made, right? You got some women, they just wait till their husband come home to give them hell. Oh, I can't wait to get this nigga hell, man. Oh, he gonna do this when he get in, and I'm gonna remind him of this, and he gonna do this, and your husband come in and all hell breaking loose, man. And she throwing kids at him, man, and you know, his dirty diapers all on the floor, and she on the phone with 3 other people, and you trying to figure out what's going on, and she's shooing you off, and oh, you put your shoes over there, and you know, hey, brother, a brother could have caught hell that day, man, and all hell breaking loose. So I just want to bring that out, right? And I also want to get this in Colossians, right? Let's go to Colossians chapter 3 and verse number 18. Then let me back. See, this says family relations. Family relations are very important in this Bible, right? They're very important, right? Colossians 3 and 28. Wives, submit unto your husbands as it is fit in the Lord. And so it's fit, right? Meaning it's right. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Yeah. It's like, I won't pull this word up, bitter in the Greek, right? Don't be bitter against your wife, right? Let's pull this up. This word is in the Greek, pikaraneo, right? Pikrano. So like pikraneo, it reads to make bitter, to produce a bitter taste in the stomach. Hey, man, that could be painful. You know, that could, hey, when you're feeling nauseous, your whole day is over. You can't walk, you could barely talk, You think you gotta, your whole day is over. And a brother can make his woman feel like that. To embitter, exasperate, to render angry, indignant, to be embittered, irritated, to grieve, deal bitterly with. So you're supposed to deal with your wife in kindness. You got brothers that are more kind to their brothers, right, than to their wife. Right? You salute your wife, you all smile and love, and what's going on, Ak? You joking with your wife, with your husband, and then you come home and you're a demon to your woman, man. You belittle her. See, some brothers belittle their women so it makes them feel a little bit better about themselves because they're about this big on the inside, man. So they lash out on their woman. Well, you're ugly, and why do you look like that, and and X, Y, and Z. You can't be bitter against your woman, and you can't be emotional too, man. See, being bitter against your woman is your judgment is emotional and it's not spiritual. Right? Who is you talking to? Let me go through your phone. Give me your phone right now. Who's that? Who you laughing at? That's being bitter, brother. You're putting a spirit in the house, man. You let your envy, immaturity, and insecurity overthrow your marriage. That's being bitter. So brothers have to also, when it comes to loving your wife, you can't let emotions dictate how you deal with your wife. It has to be, when I say emotions, I'm saying it can't be evil spirits. I'll put it like that. You can't because all emotions are spirits anyway. You have righteous emotions and righteous spirits, but you have evil emotions and evil spirits. Some brothers are overly emotional on the left-hand side, and it put a spirit in your wife. Now your wife, she's insecure. She has no self-esteem. She don't want to talk. She shuts down. You try to laugh and joke, and she's down. She got her head down. If your woman is walking around the house with her head down all the time, brother, it's a problem. You need to kind of figure that thing out. You got to figure that thing out. You tell her, get in the spirit. Get in the spirit. Why you not in the spirit? Your brother done called your woman fat 5 times today, man, and told her she don't know no precepts, and she might not make it. And she wouldn't accept you having this other wife that you secretly dealing with. So a lot of brothers be off too, man. The Most High going to destroy you if you don't get down or lay down. A lot of brothers use their role that the Most High gave them in lewdness and confusion. Right, let me get one more real quick, and you got it, King. So you can't be bitter towards your wife, man. Emotional past and trauma and things, your childhood and certain things, brothers got to learn how to get over that, man. Some brothers have natural trust issues, man. My wife can't leave the house. She says, I got to go to the grocery store and grab a few things. Well, where you really going? No, just tell me where you really going. Here we go again, right? I gotta do this. I got to, take the kids to get some clothes. Here we go. What's his name? Man, that's madness, man. Right? Let me read this. It's a lot. Hey, it'd be a lot, man. Right? But I want to get straight to the point. Right? Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 18. Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. Right? So you have to rejoice with the wife of your youth. The joy of the Lord is your strength. And there's no, and the brother brought out the precepts, Sirach 25 and 1. It's a beautiful thing when a man and a wife can agree together. Hey, Isaac was sporting with his wife, man. You can rejoice with your wife. Your wife isn't your student all the time. And we're going over Revelation, the 16th chapter. Where's your notepad at? I'm gonna tell you something for you brothers. Your wife don't want to read Revelation, the 16th chapter all day, man. Why you not smiling? We've been going over the Bible all day. Well, the Lord said, much studies and weariness of the flesh, brother. Your woman, I'm gonna say this too, brothers and sisters may not like it, and your woman may not be into this as much as you're into it, man. Your woman's a weaker vessel. And the Lord said, if you have a wife, you have to care for the things of the world. That's written. So you have to do things to have joy in your marriage too. You think your woman want to go over 70, Daniel to 70 weeks? Yeah, well, my woman's Esther. Brother, first of all, your woman's not Esther. Second of all, brother, take your woman out somewhere, man. Go get some air, man. Go to a park. If you know, whatever, man. Take her somewhere. If you can. Rejoice with the wife of your youth. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. And this is real, man. Now we know this is really going into wisdom on a spiritual level, right? But brother, this is double fold. No, it's just wisdom, right? Well, brother, that's why. Let me frame my words, choice my words. That's why. Um, that's why things aren't what they should be, man. You know, because you don't rejoice with your wife. She's sleeping on this side of the bed, and she in this bed. Y'all got two twin beds in one room. Y'all haven't hugged in 3 weeks, and you ain't kissed your woman, man, in the month. You know. Now I don't want to, go too deep into it, but you're supposed to rejoice with your woman. If you're brothers, you understand, man. We all grown, you know, and you gotta rekindle that love and that fire in your marriage through communication and talking about things, and you gotta love your woman. But you got it, King.
I was gonna bring that precept out in 1 Corinthians 7,
Con.
34. But like the brother said, you got to rekindle that marriage and that love all over again, right? Marriage is a roller coaster, right? When you on a roller coaster, right, it's not always hills, right? It's not always just dips and twirls and flips, right? You got to build up stamina to get back to the climax of the roller coaster, right? You got low points, you got high points, you got twists, you got turns. That's a marriage right there, right? Nothing is perfect. Nothing is going to be smooth sailing like you're on a calm ocean forever, right? Things arise, things happen. You know, that's why, like the brother said, you got to rekindle it, right? And if your woman is always mad and you haven't flexed your muscles a little bit, not to get too graphic or anything, right? You gotta examine. You have to examine, right? I was talking to this brother a couple weeks ago, right? We were saying it's three reasons why. How'd you put it? It's three reasons why your woman is mad, and only one of them is spiritual.
Yeah, it's three reasons, words of wisdom for brothers. Look, you gotta go through the prospect program to get the breakdown. But it's three reasons on why your woman won't submit to you, right? And leave it at that.
And one of them is spiritual.
Right.
Like Smurf said, right? But this 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 33, right? It says, but he that is married care for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. Right? And we're not saying put your how by Shem Shah to the back burner. Your wife is your idol. You put her on a pedestal. You wake up in the morning and rub her feet with lavender lotion, right? And kiss her pinky toe. Right? We're not telling you to do that. But as a man, right, you gotta understand you gotta show your wife a good time, right? Set up dates, right? You think your wife wanna sit up and change dirty diapers 24/7? Right? And you just bring her home a bottle of Kala Rossi to show her that you love her, right? This is your gift. Good job. No, man, take her to a comedy show. Go to the movies, right? Go ice skating. Do something that y'all will enjoy together, right? That goes back to a husband and wife that agree together. You're not gonna agree with your wife if y'all don't make time for one another, right? These days are going by so fast, you'll forget to even breathe as fast as these days are going by. Right? Take a step back, right? Enjoy those pastimes and do as I will. Loosely paraphrasing, right? We can bring that out if you want to, but
Con.
loosely paraphrasing. Find time to make time for you and your wife, or sisters. Schedule a vacation for you and your husband, right? Plan it out, bring it forth to him, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with taking time and loving each other excluding everybody else, right? That's why a lot of marriages don't last as well. You don't take time for one another. You don't take time to I don't know. I don't know
But
what people to bond. That's the perfect way to put it, right? Because in this truth, you're growing. And as you and your wife or you and your husband grow, y'all are growing as well. And the things that you used to like when you was 22, you despise them at 37, right? Or the things that you found pleasure in 25, you couldn't think of doing it at 39, right? So as you're growing, so is your marriage. It's evolving to a point where y'all have to find a common ground, right? But this is
this Shrek 32 and 12.
God, the water. So we're at 32 and 12. There, take thy pastime and do what thou wilt, but sin not by proud speech. Right? Take your wife out and go walk around the park while it's still nice. Right? Go look at the swans swimming on the lake. Right? If you don't got a lake by you, man, go look at the buildings, the skyline. Right? Go drive the back roads and enjoy R&B. Right? Throw some Carl Thomas on, some Brian McKnight, and enjoy a night ride. Right? These things are beautiful. Right? The small, subtle things are the things people remember. Right? You don't got to ball out. Right? You don't got to be BMF throwing thousands of dollars to have a good time with your wife. Right? The best dates usually don't cost any money. Man, have a picnic. Right? Have a picnic. Get you a tuna fish sandwich, a turkey sandwich. Y'all have grapes, feed grapes to each other. These are things that you can do. No peanut butter and jelly for you grown men. Right? Get you something nice and you can sit down and enjoy it with each other. Right? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 13 and verse number 16. And all of this comes forth by communication. You have to be able to communicate. Salaki. You have to be able to communicate, right? A household with no communication is overthrown, right? You can't expect to have your husband know how you feel, right? You can't expect your husband to read your mind when you're upset. You sitting in the corner with your face frowned up with your arms crossed because he didn't get you some popcorn, right? But you didn't ask, right? Again, these are just outlandish situations. We're just making a point. But this is Hebrews 13 and 16. But to do good and to communicate, forget not. For with such sacrifices, Yahweh is well pleased. Right? So to communicate in your household is beautiful. Right? That's a sacrifice. Right? And I'm not trying to be funny or nothing, but sometimes brothers just don't want to hear their wives talk. Or sometimes brothers may be too goofy and joking too much, and their wives be pissed off, like, calm down. Right? But you got to find that common ground where y'all can communicate. Right? Those uncomfortable conversations, those work wonders. Right? This is verse 17. Obey them that have rule over you and submit yourselves, for they watch for your soul, as they must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you. Right? So this is going to you sisters. Obey your husband who rules over you. Right? Don't like the brother said, do anything contrary to the laws of the Most High, but you got to obey your husband, right, and submit yourself to him, right. Rule of thumb, sisters, if you submit to your husband, you'll probably get whatever you want. Not saying he going blow the bank on you, but you may ask, can I get such and such? Right, he'll throw you the money so you can go get it. Right, these things are profitable in your households, right, in your marriage. Right? For they watch for your souls. The husband is watching for your soul, right? He has to love you as he loves his own soul, as he loves his own flesh, because we have to give account for it on the day of judgment, right? We have to give account on how we treat our wives in that day of judgment, right? Before anything, before she's the house of Jedediah, right? She's a daughter of Zion. That's a precious possession of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, who he has entrusted in you to be that hedge of protection. right? If you beating it down, trotting over it, treating it like garbage, how you think the Most High going to deal with you when the times of trouble to come, right? He's going to stomp you down and give you according to the fruit that you gave, right? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. The Lord will do the same thing to you. And you'll be sitting there crying like it's unjust. It was unjust how you was treating your wife, right? You turned her into a slave, right? Turned your wife into a concubine, right? Locked her inside her room, only dealt with her when you felt fit, when you needed to rub your heels together, right? Men, get out of that mind frame, man. This is your flesh right here. Treat your flesh as she deserves to be treated. Right, you got it, King.
Yeah, that's right. And I want to add to that in Psalms chapter 78. Right. So these are different 79. These are different ways on loving your wife. And love is manifold, man. Love is that emotional, joy that brothers are going into, that kindness. Love is compassion. Love is a manifold a word, right? In the spirit of Yahweh Bashmi Awashah. Love can be correction, right? Love can also be, love is a communication, like the brother said. All of this is loving your wife. Don't think just loving your wife is a hug and X, Y, and Z, or just breaking, like I said, just breaking the scriptures down to where you said love is keeping the commandments. If she's keeping the commandments, you got to dress on. I love her, right, brother? That's not all. That's not the end all be all. Stop treating your wife like you deal with Negroes on the highways and byways, man, or like a brother in the camp. Your wife is not a soldier. She's not a prospect in the camp, man. She's not a Negro that you just see on the highways and byways. So this is Psalms chapter once, I believe it was 70. Let's see, bear with me. 78. Right, let me get this. I believe this is what I want. Right, let's go to Psalms chapter 78. So love is a manifold concept that the Most High gave us. And again, go through these precepts, man. Look at these accounts. Look at these scriptures. See how the Most High deals with us, man. Right, this Psalms chapter 78 and verse number 30. I'm going to start at 37. It reads, now this account goes into how the Most High dealt with us in Egypt, right, and in the wilderness. But a lot of these scriptures, if you have ears to hear, then you can apply that same relationship between us and the church, or us and the Most High. So Psalm 78 and 37, for their heart was not right with him, neither were they steadfast in his covenant. So our fathers weren't steadfast in the covenant of the Most High, right? We built 2 golden calves as soon as we came out of Egypt, damn near, and said, these be thy gods which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. And they rose up to eat and play, and they served these gods, and Aaron said, let's proclaim a feast to the Lord. So there are times where we go off and go against the grain of the Most High. And there are times where there may be things that your woman may do that you may not like, right? But like Amos said, that's where that communication come in, right? You got expectations, right? You have expectations and you have communication. If you're missing one of those things, then you're not going to have a connection right there, right? That's like me going and I damn ordered a pizza. Let's say I ordered 2 cheese pizzas, right? Or I say I just give me a pizza and they come and give me pepperoni, and I can't be mad, right? I didn't tell them give me the kind of pizza that I wanted. The expectation has to be set and the communication has to be there, right? And that's marriage, that's anything, that's any relationship. Communications and expectations have to be transparent. You can't sugarcoat stuff, man. You got brothers, they overthrow their marriage because they're too shy to tell their wife, I don't really like that, or I don't like this. And women, you're too bashful to tell your husband certain things, man. You'll overthrow yourself. Brother, you've been eating meatloaf for 10 years and you hate it. You never told your wife that you don't like meatloaf, brother, that it makes you nauseous, man, that you're allergic. Brother, you be allergic to stuff, man. And tell your woman you're allergic to that, man. I don't want to. You got to learn how to communicate, man, to the brother's point so those expectations could be there. See, us in the wilderness, we went off. The communication was there. Keep my commandments and live. We went off. We didn't follow those expectations. So the Most High, he judged us. But what else does the Most High do? What else can be done when the expectations and the communication ain't there, right? Verse 38. But he, being full of compassion, forgave their iniquity, and destroyed them not. Yea, many a time he turned his anger away and did not stir up all his wrath. And that goes into not being a lion in your house, man. Husband's part of loving your wife is being full of compassion, being forgiving, right? Not destroying them. You could destroy your woman's self-esteem. You could some brothers, they physically destroy their wives. You beating up your woman and you telling her, don't say nothing yet. Don't tell her. Put some ice on that. We gotta be at the feast at the new moon. Put some ice on that. Don't reach out. Don't say nothing. That's off, man. So they want to do a damn pack of frozen peas, man. Said put some ice on that. Let it sit for a while. We gotta hurry up and go to the new moon. Brothers asking where you at, why you not there? You saying give me 10 more minutes because it's gonna take 10 minutes for her eye to go down, and then you driving, put it on your hurry up and get in the car. She got the damn ice pack crying on her car, man. You take it, throw it out the window, you pull up to the feast day, tomorrow, shalom, shalom, right? And you say, woman, come on, get out the car, get out the car. And she got her head down, man. You know, and half her face is wet with the ice pack. That's madness. Let me read this again. Psalm 78 and 38. But he, being full of compassion, forgave their iniquity. Brothers have to learn how to forget their wives. Right? Stop being emotional, holding on to something your woman did last week, man. 4 weeks ago, last year. And destroyed them not, man. Like I said, that could be psychologically. You know, you're bringing up things that she went through that she confided to you in the comfort of her soul and your secrecy. If that's the word, she told you certain things. You bring it out against her, man. You could destroy her psychologically, mentally, spiritually, physically. It says he many a time he turned his anger away. And that's what wise husbands are going to do. He could defer his anger, right? And he did not stir up all his wrath. Because you may have wrath. There are times where you may correct your wife. Even Jacob corrected his wife in Genesis, the 30th chapter. He corrected his wife. Let me actually get that real quick. You know, Tobit had some words for his wife, and she had some words, but it was in order, man. Right? Let me get this in Genesis real quick, chapter 30. Genesis chapter 30 and 1. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister and said unto Jacob, give me children or else I die. And that's a bold statement, man. Right? So what did Jacob say? And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel. And he said, am I in God's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? He said, well, I'm the Most High. You know, so his anger was kindled. He didn't stir up all of his wrath. Right? He didn't stir up his wrath and just utterly destroy and consume and break down and try to build up. Certain things, brothers, you break it down. You broke your woman down. You expecting her to get built up at your time. Brother, it don't work like that all the time. You done broke your woman's self-esteem down for 5 damn years. Then the 6th year, you say, turn over the new leaf, feel better. Brother, it takes time, man. And sometimes really it's harder to build up than to break down. When you look at demolition projects, when they blow up these buildings and you have to use those same things, it takes a longer time to build it up because you're dealing with the same rubble and the same stones. You got to reshape the stones. You got to do this. You got to cut them this way. And it takes a longer time to build up. So you're better off not breaking down. And you wonder why you got all this hell in your marriage because you're building up. You shouldn't have broke down. All it takes is one bomb for that building to be over. Right? All it takes is one little damn stone to move, man. You move one stone out of place in the building, the whole thing could collapse like Jenga. You got to take your time to put it back together. So Jacob didn't utterly break down. He corrected his wife. There's nothing wrong with correction. And wisdom and humility, you know. So let's go back to this. And brothers have to learn also loving your wife is correcting your wife. You have to learn. You can't just let your wife get away with all wickedness and confusion. But you have to do it in wisdom and humility and in season. Right? So let's go back. Let's go back to this. Let me finish this. I'm going to pat. Actually, Slakia, right backstage. All right? Slakia. I meant to get you in here early. Shalom, King. It's the brother in. See that?
Shalom, King. Shalom.
Right. Is it me, Amos? Can you see him or is it me?
Yeah, he just was on there. He just went backstage.
All right, bear with us. You got it, Amos. I'm trying to get him in here.
Con. Yeah, those great points that the brother's making. Right? You don't want to. Oh, that joint froze up.
God, dog.
Yeah, that's Satan. Right, but this is I'm gonna go to it. Sirach chapter 41 and 23. Are we still live? Right? Can everybody still hear on here? All praise to the most high. Right? Well, this is Sirach chapter 41 and verse number 23. Like the brother said, you're rehearsing things that your wife may have told you in confidence because y'all in an argument, and you're in the midst and you want to just hurt her feelings. You want to bring her down because she made you feel a certain type of way, right? That's never a good idea, right? It's never a wise idea to do that, right? Shalom, Kings.
Shalom.
Shalom.
It's never a wise thing to do, right? It always backfires, right? It destroys trust, right? It causes people to question motives, right? I was in Sirach 41. Or you can finish off your point.
Okay, yeah, I was just about wrapping up. Can y'all see the screen?
Now we can.
See, got it. Got this. All right, you can see Psalm 78.
Con.
Okay, let me just finish this real quick. So this Psalm 78 and 38, it reads, Yea, many a time he turned his anger away and did not stir up all his wrath. So I was just making that same point, brothers. Have some moderation with your behavior and your spirit, right? It's not a sin to be angry, but channel your anger in a spirit of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, right? And be humble. Verse 39, for he remembered that they were but flesh, a wind that passeth away and cometh not again. How oft did they provoke him in the wilderness and grieve him in the desert? So you can be constantly grieved, and it can be spirits that your woman's dealing with, but it says he remembered that they were but flesh, a wind that passeth away and cometh not again. So be mindful of that. Be mindful that your woman is but flesh and you're a weaker vessel. The Most High could have destroyed us. And the Lord almost destroyed us, man. If on a carnal level, he said he was going to make a new nation through Moses, you know? And the Most High remembered, hey, we're just flesh. You know, and the Most High never disannulled the covenant that he made with our fathers, right? And likewise with brothers in a marriage, no matter what you're going through, y'all are but flesh, and nobody can disannul your marriage. But you got it. I just want to make that point. You got it, Amos.
God. And it kind of goes in to that Sirach 41 and 23. Right? Such secrets that the Most High has revealed unto us, you can't cast before swine, right? And that's an unclean demon that causes that argument in the household, right? It's never a righteous demon when you can't see eye to eye with your spouse. You're on there arguing and saying such things, right? As a husband, we're sent forth to save, to deliver and measure, and to order, right? Right? Women can be emotional, children can be emotional, men have to be rational, right? We have to use reasoning in all that we do, the way that we think, the way that we speak, the way that we carry ourselves, right? But this is Sirach 41 and 23. Or of uh, iterating and speaking again that which thou hast heard, and of revealing of secrets. So thou shalt be truly shamefast and find favor before all men. Right? So when you get into an argument, man, don't bring up things that your wife may have told you in confidence or your husband told you in confidence to try to bring them down and destroy them. Right? That makes no sense. Right? That's counterproductive. Right? That's not the true fruits of the spirit. And yet sometimes you may have a spirit on you and you can't control yourself and you see red and you just raging. Right? You got to be mindful of the things that you say. You got to be mindful that the Most High is merciful, and we got to be merciful. Right? And like I said, women and children have the opportunity to be emotional. Men, you can't. Right? You let your emotions take over you, you'll overthrow your household. Right? Your whole household will fall apart if you think with your emotions. Right? And both of y'all can't be emotional. Both of y'all screaming at the top of your lungs, right? And then you start snapping and turning your head and doing all the stuff, those feminine movements because you mad, right? You got to have some reasoning within yourselves, right? Look at our forefather David, right? They came in and took his whole family. And what did he do? Did he start getting emotional and start snapping and stomping his feet and doing all this effeminate movements? No, he girded up his loins and went and got what was his. Right? Let's go to Sirach. First Samuel chapter 30. And we can start at verse number uh psh, we can start at 16, right? So they came in and they took David's household, right? Took the things that were belonging to him. It says, and we had brought him back. Behold, they spread abroad all the earth and eating and drinking, dancing because of all the great spoil that they have taken out of the land of the Philistine and out of the land of Judah. Right? So they was turning up, right? They was turning up, spilling wine. Music was probably loud, right? People bumping into each other because they was excited. And David smote them from the twilight even until the evening of the next day. And there escaped not a man of them, save 400 young men, which rode upon camels and fled. Right? So David was doing what he had to do as a man, right? And on the level in this day and age, if you see your household is overtaken in a spirit that you can't shake, right? You got to be that man that comes and delivers your household, right? You got to be that man that can defeat these demons and bring your household out of that snare that it has going on, right? Verse 18. And David recovered all the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his two wives, and there was nothing lacking of them, neither small nor great. So David got what belonged to him, and he didn't leave anything, right? He didn't leave anything, great or small, neither sons nor daughters, neither spoil nor anything that they had taken to them. David recovered all, right? So David can recognize, identify the problem, and he recovers his household from those hells, from that bondage. And that's how you got to be as a man. You see that something is troubling your household and it's tearing it down, be as David was. Rescue your wife, your sons and daughters from the things that are destroying them, right? At least you be destroyed with them because you allow Satan to get an advantage of you, right? We can't be ignorant of these devices, right? And you got to be able to identify a problem. That's why we said men think and reasoning. Reasoning will let you know when something's not right. Right? You get that funny feeling in your stomach, or your mind get to racing. Like, hold on, that's not right. That's reasoning. That's wisdom working in you to have you to put a plan to action to deliver your house from the snares of Satan. Right? But brothers got it.
That's right. Brothers giving excellent counsel through the Spirit. Let's go to the mighty book of Job. You can get it in the NLT. Job chapter 6 in verse number 25. Job chapter 6 in verse number 25. Right? I mean, all of our fathers dealt with the same exact things that we've dealt with. So it's nothing new. Right? That's First Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13, man. There's no temptation taking you as such as is common to man. So whatever you dealing with is something somebody else in this truth is dealing with, man, or our forefathers. The Lord said, this is the book of Job 6 and 25. Honest words can be painful, man. So you don't always have to utter your own mind. You're fat. You are loud, right? You are out of order. Like it's a time and a place and a season to utter certain things. You don't want to run around speaking the damn truth and over righteousness all the time, huh? Go to your boss, tell him you're Edomite, right? Tell everybody at work you're going into slavery, right? Honest words could be painful, man. Sometimes you got to know how to approach your wife with craftiness and respect. You know what? I want her to clean up more, so let's have a conversation. Wouldn't it look more beautiful if we move this around? You got to know how to communicate, man. You don't always have to rule with an iron fist. An iron fist does what? It breaks wood, tables, walls. It destroys the house, man. The Lord said, honest words can be painful, but what do your criticism amount to? You know, I could tell a brother, you know, you could teach better. You could teach better. Right? You did this wrong. You did that wrong. You did that wrong. I'm just beating that brother down. Yeah, it may be true, but what did that amount to? What uplifting did that do for that brother, man? What change of mind and direction did that counsel that brother in? So you can't break down without building up, man. A pivotal part of breaking down, just like the Most High did us, the Most High is the potter, man, and we're the clay. He broke us down. He put us in slavery, bondage, right? He sifted out our minds. He had us to wander in the desert, in the wilderness, man, as lost sheep. But he didn't do that just to break us down. He did that to build us back up, for us to bethink ourselves. It says, do you think your words are convincing? So, I mean, this is Job in the spirit, and you could apply this most definitely to a marriage, man, because the things you say aren't convincing. It's just rude. They're blatantly, honestly, bluntly rude, disrespectful, out of order, out of season. And it's not warranted for the situation that you're dealing with, man. Do you think your words are convincing when you, right, disregard my cry of depression? Right. So a lot of our people, they deal with depression in marriages, wives especially, but also husbands. Husbands have depression behind closed doors, man. It's not always the cry of the woman. A lot of brothers, they catch hell too, man. Right? It's a just balance. Y'all one flesh. And even if, you know, she's catching hell and you're trying to heal her, you're still in that same mood of depression, trying to uplift her with joy, man. Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the mighty book, right, of Proverbs, chapter 30. In verse 31.
Real quick, too, that's desperation, too. I just wanted to add that desperation, too.
Desperation. Salaki. Yeah, desperation. Right, let's go to Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 33. 30 and 33. It says, surely the churning of milk bringeth forth butter, and the wringing of the nose bringeth forth blood, so the forcing of wrath bringeth forth strife. So the more you pick with something, the more you push at something, the more you're going to get exactly what you're looking for, man. Like they say, pushing back and forth starts a fight, right? You're churning that milk, it's going to eventually be whipped into butter. The same with the wringing of the nose, right? So if you force wrath, you're going to bring forth strife. Strife's going to bring forth sin. Sin's going to bring forth death. You know, it's good to be the bigger man. You're not always what the world would deem or classify as a chump, right? Or some cuss word that, you know, women may call a man, right? Or whatever the case. It's good to walk away, man. To be the bigger man is also wisdom and being wise, right? You don't always have to feel like you're on top or carry on this macho, masculine spirit that's not warranted for this situation. There's nothing masculine about strife and vanity. You're actually lowering yourself onto your woman's level to combat with her as if y'all equals. Hey, whatever you said, it goes. If she don't like it, you can revisit the conversation later, man. But right now, we're not talking about it. But if you continue to strife and go back and forth, that's going to eventually bring forth sin. Now you're not going to be blameless. The original situation, you was blameless. But then she casted her hook of deception through Satan that blinded her eyes and reeled you right on in. Now you're in the midst of an argument that started out about dishes, started out about, you know, a bank account, or started off about a matter that, you know, y'all were once talking about peacefully, into a full-blown, wrathful, damn argument quarrel session, man. Now things are getting thrown, right? And you got to watch the amount of wrath and spirits that you let rest inside of you too. That's why it's good to have conversations and talk, because when they finally push that last button, you're going to explode, man. And your husband or your wife ain't going to know where it's coming from. Next thing you know, you're in a car chasing somebody down, man. Or you have a knife and you're playing with it, man, speaking things you ought not. Or you're in a spirit to where Satan has blinded your eyes, and now you're in a spirit to where you have nothing to see of the commandments and righteousness. All you're bringing forth is that wrath, because it's deeply rooted deep down within you. So you most definitely want to flush out with righteous conversation and going into these things too. It's healthy, right? But you got it, Kings.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, man. And I want to add.
Salaki.
Oh, go ahead, King.
Y'all don't say he was backstage.
Okay, come.
Okay.
We'll get y'all down in here.
Shalom.
Okay, shalom.
Shalom, King.
Shalom.
Yeah, I want to get another precept. Let me put this back in the KDB. I want to add to what the brothers are saying. So all of this, like brothers are saying, All of this goes into loving your wife. Again, loving your wife is not, well, I went to 2 John verse 6, what's John 14 to 15. If you love me, keep my commandments. Well, my wife got a dress on, I love her. I told her to put a dress on. Love is deeper than that, man. Brothers got to grow up in this thing and take heed to counsel, man. Because some brothers, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And all of everybody in this live is married, in terms of us brothers, man. And brothers are always looking to improve their marriage. There's no marriage that's sitting on golden crowns and y'all know y'all the elect. If you're married and if you're not married, but how much more, saying we're going into the lesson, there's always something to improve on. What more can we do? What more can we improve on? You always have to have that mentality. What more can I do? And it's okay to ask that. To your woman, for y'all to have those conversations. I'm doing this, anything you think, whatever. She asks, I don't like the way that you do this. And some stuff people may not mention, but it could build up. So you got to have those open, transparent conversations to reduce any type of buildup of wickedness that may be there. And you got to initiate that, man. It's your job as the husband, since this is catered toward the husband, to initiate those conversations, to have that mind to be able to discern, good and evil, right? But I want to get this at Genesis. I want to go to Genesis, the 3rd chapter, with Adam and his wife. We all know what happened with Adam and Eve, right? They went off, right? Collectively, they went off. Eve went off. Adam went off. But I want to touch on the point afterwards, right? This Genesis chapter 3 and verse 21. And unto Adam also, and to his wife did Yahweh make coats of skin and clothe them. Right, so the Most High gave, what this coat of skin is, this isn't a literal coat of skin. He didn't give them a mink, right, or a fur chinchilla, right? The Most High gave them coats of skin, which is a metaphor for animal sacrifice, so they can be reconciled back to the Most High God. The same way you take the coats off the skin of an animal after you kill it, badger skin dyed red, or X, Y, and Z. It's the same way the Most High gave us animal sacrifice, so we can be reconciled back to the Most High God. This is the institution of that law being put into place. Prior to this, there was no to cover their nakedness. Now, I want to go to Genesis, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, right? So Adam sinned, Eve sinned, right? But it's the husband's job as the priest to guide his family out of sin, right? This Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and 1. She preserved the first formed father of the world that was created alone and brought him out of his fall and gave him power to rule all things. So when Adam fell, the Most High gave Adam animal sacrifice, right? That was for him to be reconciled to the Most High and for his wife to be reconciled. When Adam did those sacrifices, when Cain and Abel did those sacrifices, that's the job of the father. Adam taught that to Cain. He taught that to Abel. He taught that to Seth. He made sure his wife was reconciled to the Most High. That was his job. You think Adam divorced his woman after that matter? And your wife could do something wicked, man. And it says if the woman came to the beginning of sin and through her, we all die. The Adam said, you know what, it's over. No, Adam said with the Most High joined together, let not man put asunder. No matter which, I'm not going to say no matter what, because, adultery, fornication, things, things of that nature. Hey, but it's the husband's job to be the priest in his family the same way Adam was, to bring his family out of sin. The Most High didn't give necessarily us coats of skin. He gave us the blood of his son, Yahushua. So brothers have to be praying for their household. That's loving your wife. Making reconciliation for your wife in the event that she has shortcomings that she may or may not be aware of. Going on fasting for your wife. Right? These are spiritual things that the husband as the priest of his family should be doing. Praying, fasting, and even anointing your wife. Anointing your wife, anointing your children. These are the things that fathers should be doing, that husbands should be doing, along with everything else going into. Because you are a priest, man. Right? You are a priest on behalf of your family. And you have to comfort them with the precepts and comfort them through your guidance as that priest. Let me get one more real quick and I'm gonna pass it. Let me go to 2 Samuel. Just want to get So it's your job. Never forget, husbands are also priests, right? And you don't have that coat of skin. You have the blood of Yahweh Shai. I want to get this real quick in 2 Samuel. It's a key word I want. This 2 Samuel chapter 12, here it is, at 24. And David comforted Bathsheba his wife, and went in unto her and lay with her, and she bare a son, and he called his name Solomon, and Yahweh loved him. So David comforted his wife, right? Now this after they went off, man. Right? It's your job to comfort your wife, right? Whether that's physically or even spiritually, right? It's your job to bring peace in the household. It's your job to have the prayers going, have the fast going. You lighten the incense. You having that spirit in your house, man. You're just not a dude who just teaches at camp and you teaching the Israelites on the highways and byways, but at home there's no spiritual duties. Last time I checked, the priests, they have an evening and a morning sacrifice, man. You know, and it's almost double plus more on a Shabbat when you read the law. So brothers have to have that evening and morning sacrifice kind of deal. But brothers got it.
Con, y'all don't, you want to get in there? If not, I got a precept.
Can brothers hear me?
Fine.
I want to get the book of Sirach, chapter 25 and verse 1.
Yeah. Fine.
So like, kind of reads, "In three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful both before God and men: the unity of brothers, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together." And, the Most High is a mystery, but yet he reveals subtly throughout the scriptures, sprinkled here a little and there a little, of the things that he loves as well as the things that he hates. And so with this understanding, we know how to please the Lord, the Most High God. So we find out, dang, okay, a man and a woman must agree together. How can that be done? It's done through the scriptures. Chiefly, the scriptures is our blueprint to maintaining a well-oiled machine that is our house. I'm going to follow that up with Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 5. It's like, before that, 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. See, the Lord is a man of order. The way that he created the earth was within order. The way that he set up man in Exodus 18 chapter, all these accounts and precepts on order shows the love that the Most High has towards us. And Israel, we're likened it to a woman. We're likened it to that holy city, like it reads in Ezra, the 10th chapter, in the 44th verse. And even a city has to have a foundation. For a city to be built, you have to get the little thing to kind of look through it, whatever construction workers use. You may need a plumb bob. You may need certain measuring devices. You may need counsel. In fact, you do need counsel before building a city. You got to know how high it's going to be. Everything is weighed in the balances. Even the materials to build a city and or a building. Materials, they cost something. To put it together, that's going to require labor. And so in 1 Corinthians 14 and 40, it reads, "Let all things be done decently and in order." So as a man of the house, pursuing 1 Corinthians 11 chapter, we realize that we are the ones who have to orchestrate the tune. We have to know the rhythm, the melody. Your rib shouldn't be playing to another tune of another camp or the voice of another man. A woman should never say, "Well, he said this. Well, what about this? What about her?" She's listening to other music. She needs to listen to your music, right, through the Spirit of the Lord, because he's the orchestrator. Is that what they're called? The orchestrator, the conductor?
Maestro.
Right? The maestro. He's the maestro. And you following along, you have to read the notes. You have to make sure you're hearing everything properly. Because if you can't hear, if you can't understand, how are you going to play the right music? Then it's all out of order. And that's not what the Lord intended. And I also want to grab the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 5. But I want to get it in a GNT. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 5.
Let me see if the blue letter
Because
has to see.
and now in some cases, we understand that a man can do and drive his household to madness and wickedness. In other cases, a woman can do it too. But as they say, it takes two to tango. Sometimes it takes two to tango, right?
It's like, bear with me.
Now you good. Let me get this precept while you're looking for that. This is Genesis chapter 28, verse 8. I'm going to start at verse 7. And it reads, let me see which one I want. Yeah, verse 7. And Jacob obeyed his father and his mother and was gone to Padan Aram. And Esau, seeing that the daughters of Canaan pleased not Isaac his father, then went Esau unto Ishmael and took unto the wives which he had Malatha, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebujoth, to be his wife. And when you read further down, and if brothers can find a precept too, that'll be mighty. It displeased his parents. It displeased Jacob and Rebekah.
Ain't
What does
the
that tell
last
you?
verse? Slocky. Ain't it the last verse at the bottom?
Let me
Yes.
see, verse
Uh,
28.
26 and 34, 35.
26 and 35. The water. Genesis 26 and 35. I said verse 34. And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and the Bashmath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mind unto Isaac and to Rebekah. And they were on one accord, because it was on one accord when he told their sons who to go to. So it was beautiful before the Lord that they could even be on one accord and realize and have a foundation that these heathen women aren't fit for their sons. Now, of course, Esau being wicked and being that broken vessel, he's going to fall short and be crooked and be that demon, that dragon. I mean, a wicked son would just blatantly disobey his parents. But the main thing I want to extract is how Isaac and Rebekah, they were one flesh in this case. They were of one mind. And that's what they say. If your rib hurt, you should feel some type of hurt. That's your flesh. Bone of your bones, flesh of my flesh, for a reason. And if you feel in any certain type of way, hey, she should reflect that. Because again, y'all are one flesh. I'm gonna keep repeating that. And Ecclesiastes 4 and 5. There's a lot of accounts where, and the Lord's not going to say Isaac and Rebekah are on one flesh. The Lord's not always going to say it and word it the way that we explain it, but you have to read through the Spirit and understand and read behind the lines. You have to place yourself in the scriptures, kind of ask yourself, what made them both upset? That means they both kind of talked about it. They talked about it. He's with that issue. I know, baby. It's all right. Take this yan. Don't worry about it too much. They had some conversations in the background. Now, we don't know. This is us extrapolating, but that's what we can discern because they were both grief of mind. And can you get that word grief, Baba Kashar? They were pissed.
You want it in English?
Khan. Grief. I mean, when we were kids, we felt bad for making our parents upset. And in the scriptures, it reads a deep sorrow or pain resulting from loss, misfortune, or wrongdoing. Right? What's the synonym?
Let's see. See, I put Bible. Hold on, let me just get the regular definition. All right, here you go. Sorrow, misery, sadness, anguish, agony, heartbreak, remorse, torment,
regret. Woe, desolation. Is one more if you go a little bit down. Annoyance. Annoyance. You're annoying your parents. But again, guess what? Isaac and Rebekah felt that. So they was in tune. They was on the same accord, listening to the same music, same rhythm, same beat. I mean, it was like this, as they say. I want to get one more in Ecclesiastes 4 and 5. They say now, there's more context to this within this chapter, but pulling this off for a reason. They say that we would be fools to fold our hands and let ourselves starve, right? You would be a fool to let yourself starve in your house, right? Let each other starve. The whole point is to grow and to prosper together. They say that we would be fools to fold our hands and let ourselves starve. So if your rib is doing God knows what, you can't just fold it up, upset all day, not wanting to talk, not wanting to grow, not wanting to be on one accord, just folding your hands. You'll be a fool to do that. Or if you ask it, hey, baby, can you make me just one egg? And she's just, damn, you always want eggs. What's up with you and eggs? Nigga, calling you out your name and all that madness. I mean, she'll be a fool to do that. Not only she tearing down her house, but she's just withholding herself from the labor that the Most High made her to do. She gave you some yan and she spilled it on purpose. And she's gonna clean it up. Or she say Salakia. That's not a comely spirit, right? And I say that to say things shouldn't be done out of spite. You can't do you can't do harm to your significant other, because when you hurt yourself, when you hurt them, you hurt yourself, and that's what it's saying in the book of Sirach as well. And if brothers can bring it out, whoever got it, but he that can't do good, who shall who to do good to? It's in the cut.
That's right, 14. You went in the KJV?
Gone.
6 right here. I should have put the 6 and 11.
And if he do it, verse 7.
What you want?
Yeah, verse 6 too, or verse 5. That's what I want. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? And that goes for you on a spiritual level too, right? If you're not reading, your house is not going to read. If you're not studying, your house won't study. And he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be? To whom will he be good? You gotta ask yourself, well, that's when you examine yourself too, and you speak to your spouse. Well, have I been evil? Have I done this wrong? However you word it. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? And this verse applies to women as well. He shall not take pleasure in his goods. There is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his evil. And if he doeth good, he doeth unknowingly. And at the last, he would declare his wickedness. So you don't want to let that leaven of evil just piling up and growing until it turns into a tumor. And the Most High got to cut you out. But with that, I yield.
You had something, Amos? Right, you had something, King?
La.
All right, well, brothers can bring out closing precepts, man. Mighty points. We can bring out closing precepts.
Yeah, I'll get Revelation chapter 3. And all praise to the Most High, man. I mean, this really goes into the things brothers need as far as the milk, man. If I could get a quick precept before that, Sirach 19 and 24. I'll get this quick precept. Like brothers say all the time, you can know all of the in-depth mysteries and secrets and parables and allegories and similitudes. But if you don't, have your house in order, if you're not keeping the commandments, if you're a hypocrite behind closed doors, if you have no integrity and by any means you jump at sin, you're no greater than a brother that has the least understanding, man. Because believe it or not, there are brothers that don't know that much, but their heart jumps and beats for the Lord, man. They keep the commandments. They're on fire for his word and what little they understand. And just because you have a lot of knowledge doesn't mean that the Most High loves you, that the Most High is dealing with you, man. You had a lot of brothers that are extremely knowledgeable in a lot of things, but that has no significance in salvation whatsoever. The Lord said, Sirach 19 to 24, he that have small understanding and feareth God. Like you read about in Sirach, the 10th chapter, there is none greater than he that feareth the Most High, verse 25 all the way down. It is better than one that have much wisdom. See, the much wisdom in this world could get you women, accolades, you're the top prophet, all of the views. You know, people could really think you're the elect. Right? This is what the carnal mind thinks. You know, the last time I checked, the Lord said the meek shall inherit the earth. Last time I checked, the children entered into the promised land. The last time I checked, the feeble is what the Most High raises up out of the dust. You know, so always remember diving back into the principal things of what you need. Those are the things you need to strengthen up, man. The Lord saves households. He doesn't save the wisest men, man. Right? They all gather together at some discrete location, and the Most High beams them up first. It's not in the Bible. It says, and transgress of the law of the Most High. Now, how do you transgress, man? You could transgress through your household, your wife, how you treat your brother, many ways. But nevertheless, always instill the milk, because that's the fundamental things that had you to grow into the mighty, brother and or sister you are. But you can go back to it, King. It's not right. It's like in Revelation chapter 3. It's Revelation chapter 3 and verse 2. Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. And everybody knows through examination what's dying off on you, man. Right? And it should be easy because the spirit speaketh expressively, man. Certain things are going to be moving in your spirit to feel a certain way. You know what? I know I should be doing this. I know I should be doing that, man. That's your conscience bears witness, man. These are the things that are lacking. Just like with any ailment, it aches. If you have heartburn, you can feel it. If you have back sore and pains, you can feel it. Sometimes not reading, you can feel that thing. It's like a punch in the gut, man. If you get precepts, you're not as you're not having as much faith as you used to. And these things pull from you on a spiritual level, the same way those elements on a physical level could pull if you don't do anything about it. It says, "For I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee." Right? So just like any thief, he's not going to warn you. He's going to kick down your door and ravish your goods. And in this case, that'll be the Lord, and he'll take all of the wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding from you and give it to somebody more worthy. My brother's got it.
Come. Let's go to Second Esdras, chapter 9, and let's start at verse number. Let's start at 18. Right, switch it up a little bit to close it out. Right, so in this chapter is going into the people who are going to be destroyed by the Most High for their works, but I'm kind of related unto households as well. Right, so it says Second Esdras 9 and 18. And now when I prepared the world, which was not yet made, even for them that dwell, for them to dwell in that now live, no man spake against me, right? For then everyone obeyed. But now the manners of them which are created in this world, that is made are corrupted by a perpetual seed, right? So as the husband, right, the Most High laid down the foundation with these scriptures, how you should govern your house, right? And nobody spake against the Most High's laws. But now that the truth is coming out, everybody want to speak out against it, right? You may have your mother-in-law saying, woman, you're not made to be a servant, or you may have cousins or sisters trying to beguile your wife, saying things that that are not beneficial to your household. And by a law which is unsearchable, rid themselves. So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that were come into it, right? So there's peril with the things that are going to happen and these devices that are going to come into your household, right? You have to be a man, gird up your loins and stand on your feet, right? And rebuke those demons from being in your household, right? Rebuke those demons that are stopping you from being the mighty man that the Most High has called you to be, right? Rebuke those demons that are telling you to leave out the house and do God knows what, or not take care of your family, right? That's Sirach 27:3. If a man hold himself not diligently in the fear of the Lord, his house shall soon be overthrown, right? Loosely paraphrasing. So if you're not holding yourself diligently in the fear of the Lord, right, all these perils are going to continue to take over you. And like the brother was going into, you can't run from this, right? You can't run from it, right? It's the nature of the world we live in, right? You got these videos out here of women talking about they're divorcing their husbands, and that spirit is trickulating into your house, right? You got to combat the left hand side with the right hand side, right? I seen something on social media. J Lo said she's done with marriage, right? They said J Lo has more rings than Tom Brady and Michael Jordan combined, right? People proposing to her, she getting married, getting divorced, right? We're not allowing those devices to come into our household to allow any thoughts of separating or tearing down our house. We're going to stand fervent for our laws, for our wives and our children through the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai. So I want to compel you men, right, you fathers and you husbands, to stand up boldly in the sight of Yahweh Shemel Shai and govern your houses accordingly and stay in order, right? But brothers got it.
I'm gonna grab the book of Luke, chapter 7, and verse 44.
God.
And it reads, so I can. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, seest thou this woman? I have entered into thine house. Thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she hath washed my feet with tears, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou hast given me no kiss, but this woman, since the time I came in, hath not ceased to kiss my feet. Mine head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she hath loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. And I love this account. I examine myself upon this account because I asked myself, well, how much did I love the Lord this week? And for this woman, she had her certain duties and tasks to fulfill serving Yahweh, right? And now again, Simon could have did the same, but it just goes to show that each and every one of us on this call, that's watching this call, you have your task that you have to fulfill before Yahweh Shem Shai. And he's watching. He's always watching. Yahweh Shai was watching the men and women that was putting in for alms and tithes. He saw this woman put in her 2 mites. He saw this person put in something. Saw this person put in something. And the Lord's also watching how much you love him, and you love him according to action. Because as they say in this world, love is an action word. Love is keeping the commandments. It takes action to complete and execute the commandments of Yahweh Shem Shai. So for this woman, her loving the Lord was tending to him. So you have to ask yourself, well, have I been tending to the Lord? I mean, the Lord, said, blessed he that readeth, have I been reading? The Lord said, you got to study that. Have I been studying? Right? Study to show thyself approved. Have I really been studying? The Lord said, when the bridegroom is gone, the people shall fast. Have you been fasting? And so the Lord also stated through the spirit of John that if a tree beareth not forth fruit, it shall surely meet the axe, paraphrasing greatly. And so there's all these things that we have to fulfill before the Lord, and we have to be mindful and take action, lest we become that tree that is fallen, with no fruit, dried up and withered away. And so, that's my exhortation to Israel. Make sure you love the Lord with all thy heart and with all thy soul, and complete whatever you have to do for him. A lot of men that may have fell out of this truth is because they didn't love him to their fullest capacity. That's not to say every man and woman have to do a 4-hour breakdown and study for 7 hours a day, but you know what's required of you. Who's ever watching, you know what's required of you. Whether you're in a certain office, a rank, position, perhaps you're in a household and you have this duty or that duty, you know what's required of you. But with that, I yield. And one more thing, Salah.
Con.
I meant to read in verse 47, wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven. And so all the amount of work, the exuberant amount of work that she completed, the Lord forgave her for her past and for her sins. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. And so if the Lord, sees that you love him just a little bit, only a little bit of your sins can be forgiven. Right? With that, I yield.
Con, that's right. That's right. And I'm gonna go to Wisdom of Solomon, right? Chapter 14, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Right? This Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, and verse number 22. It reads, moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of God. But whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. And pertaining to marriage, a lot of brothers live in a great war of ignorance, man. Meaning just what ignorance means without knowledge. And some brothers, you have plagues in your house, but you call it peace. Right? That distance between you and your wife, that's not good, brother. That's a plague. And the plague can spread, man. Right? That willingness for you to be able to be a demon in a house, man, and not have any temperance and self-control, that's a plague in your house, but you're calling it peace. The inability for you to correct your wife when she's out of order, and humility and meekness, brother, that's a plague, but you're calling it peace, man. Right? You have to look at the plagues in your house and the plagues in your marriage and stop being content with a plague, man. Look at what has to be fixed. Be a physician in your house, be a physician in your marriage, and get rid of the plagues and stop calling them peace. Verse 23, for whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites. These are what the heathen did, right? These demons. They kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled, but either one slew another traitorously, or grieved him by adultery, so that there reigned in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good turns, defiling of souls, changing of kind, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanness. So marriages are addressed twice. They kept lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. And another sign of the end of the world and spirits that are going to be made manifest that are in these heathen is disorder in marriages. So you want to look at your marriage, see what it is. There's always something to improve on, right? Every single brother can improve in something in their marriage. And if you think that you can't, then that's a damn shame, man. Right? If you ever feel like you reached your ceiling, the only place to go is down. There's always something to improve on. It could be communication. It could be y'all reading together. It could be y'all praying more together. Y'all fast more together. It could be you being more kind to your woman, huh? It could be y'all going out more. It could be y'all staying in more and being in the spirit more because y'all go out too much. It could be all these things, man. Look at what a disorder is in your marriage. Y'all come together collectively, communicate, man, and see what things y'all could work on together. Because you may, you're moving this way. You want your wife to move this way, but y'all got to communicate. Here you are. Well, we got to fix our communication. And your woman, in her mind, she's like, no, we need to fix the fact that you have been working in 3 months. Y'all got to talk. Y'all got to communicate, fix the disorder your marriages. It takes both of y'all to make sure that this thing is in order. So I just want to make that point too. And with that, we're going to close up. Giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, Brother Naquam,
Brother Amos,
Brother Yardan.
Brother Right.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.